Hey peeps, it's Gizmo. Welcome back to the Veterans of Rock podcast. So, I've been missing for a little while, ever since the Tokyo Ghoul PDB, but now since we have had releases, we have had updates, and I have even made a singular video that was kind of not a very big video, but it was a video that I covered a small update, and then Behave decided to not make any more updates anymore for PDBs. Their justifications were a little flimsy, but I guess I kind of understand. It is less content for me, though, which is very, very sad. If you're new here, this show is also now launching on Spotify, and maybe it'll appear on the Hover podcast platform soon as well. Essentially, this is a podcast by me, Kizu, on Dead by Daylight, and everything that's happening in Dead by Daylight. Is it very focused? No. Is it very good? Probably also no. However, I am one of the few people that has balls to provide a very unique perspective on Dead by Daylight, and I like to approach it from a bigger scope of an overarching game design and focusing on the big picture and ramifications of all gameplay changes to Dead by Daylight, and give you a bit of a spicy analysis that maybe other people aren't as engaged in to care. So, since I last have been talking to you all, Dead by Daylight has released the Tokyo Ghoul chapter, and essentially there have been a lot of changes from the PDP that were kind of a little shadow dropped. The biggest one was that map variants have been removed. If you don't know, what was previously in Dead by Daylight no longer is. There was things called map variants, which were essentially remixes of the original maps that might use the main building, might not even use the main building, and just shuffle around all the elements to try and create a new map out of all the same elements. It was an attempt to create more variety in Dead by Daylight. Didn't prove to be extremely popular, was widely bashed for making things confusing, and often the variants had very, very, very contentious balance. However, they are now removed. Map variants, bye-bye. Those aren't a thing. And for some reason, this isn't mentioned in patch notes. Why? Okay. I don't know why that isn't mentioned in the patch notes, but hey, that isn't mentioned in the patch notes. But overall, I think. See, the thing is, this actually kind of impedes on the video I'm making in the future that had map variants as a part of it. So now, Behavior have sabotaged me once more, and I'll have to rewrite everything. Well, not everything, but a lot of it, which means I hate it. But coming from a general player perspective over half of the game, probably a good change. It's probably a good change because, it is just good to have less bullshit, and it's probably going to be a very nice addition for killer players, considering that Batham Preschool, the original map with variants, has been gutted. And by gutted, I mean that it only has now one, the original Batham Preschool 1 variant, no other variants, which means in the map pool, it will now be less present. This also will mean that you are more likely to get the new Ormond Lake mine and map, because, other Ormond maps are all removed, all those variations. But this does mean you might see a little bit less variety in your games, potentially. Or, if we're talking specifically about Batham, you might see more variety in your games. Actually, no, you won't see any more variety in your games, because we have the realm repeat prevention system now. So, you wouldn't go to the variants anyway. Huh. I guess their reasoning really is kind of weird in that context of we wanted more variety, so you wouldn't play on the same map, but we have the map repeat prevention, realm repeat prevention system. That is weird. But moving on to, I think, the title matter of this episode. John Tokyo Ghoul Kaneki Kaneki has been kind of hated. So, if you remember, if you follow my YouTube channel, or if you just followed the general feedback for the PTP, I think a lot of people were very, very positive on John Tokyo Ghoul, Kaneki, whatever. The reason is because on the PTP, it was quite a drastic different experience, right? On the PTB, we didn't have the sliding item basket. We didn't have a lot of time to get good at them. It was very difficult to evaluate because the power was so complex and so many moving parts were happening, and the people we were playing against weren't very good. However, I think it's safe to say Kaneki, as he has arrived to the live release, is an S tier killer that is not very fun to face. I do find it extremely funny that killer players are complaining about the mate for this now. Like, come on, no, I am playing an S tier killer. I am getting now impacted by mate for this. With survivors at 3% faster, damn it, make it exhaust you again. Where literally, time is a flat circle. It is 2023. Killers are complaining that Matha. This makes it so too easy to loop. It is 2025. Killers are complaining that Matha. This makes it too easy to loop. It is times just a flat circle. Even if you nerf a perk, the other side will complain about it. Extremely. At some point again. Because they're like, oh no, I've discovered the one niche scenario in which this perk is impactful. Fuck you! I hate that! No, we cannot have that. And, who asked? Are we really complaining about mate fizz now? Really? So I think that's pathetic. I'm not gonna lie, I think it's a little pathetic, so, fuck off. But yeah, John Tokyo Ghoul, why is he not very fun to face? Well, now we have more time to simmer with Jonathan Tokyo Ghoul. I think the interesting thing is, right, the hit detection is too wonky, as the first thing. The hit detection is too wonky, which means that that is something actually I noticed on the PTB, but I didn't give it much thought, of how reliably you could hit with your power survivors that were behind obstacles, like completely behind the wall. I thought I chalked it up to pain because I was playing with an American person, so we've had that cross-country latency, and I thought, oh, that's just ping, me hitting behind the wall. But no, that is just a Kaneki feature where you could just hit people behind walls even after they already on the height. So you basically always can hit people as if you were on 150 ping, and that is kind of just extremely bullshit. Is he overpowered besides that? I don't know. So the thing is, he is definitely on the very, very strong side. And currently, because of how easy it is to grab onto survivors, it feels miserable to play against. Especially on smaller maps where the mobility kind of just makes it debilitating to play against him. You kind of don't have a lot of options, right? How do we solve this? Well, for the first thing, I think that it needs to be more of a skill shot to use the power. That was something I was more reserved on the original PDB. I wasn't sure about it, especially in the context of not knowing how the sliding item will feel, etc., etc., etc. I think that the tentacles need to be a skill shot. The auto-aim thing, very, very free. It is like too easy to latch into survivors. I think you could maybe implement some auto-aim for controllers. But for PCs, it is, for mouse and keyboard, it it's too free. Besides that, the way the power functions around corners, around obstacles, needs to be fixed. If we say theoretically, if those issues are fixed, does this killer remain in balance, and will there be a lot of fun to play against them? I honestly don't know. I'm really struggling because it's someone who has so many things available for completely free, but at the same time, should you start making those things not completely free, the power design kind of falls apart, and Kaneki will become like a legion, which is very powerful. But I just don't see, unless they completely iron out the power, or I'm not sure we'll see anything but a nerf to Kaneki, because it is clear, I think, that currently he's way too oppressive. I think what we know very well about Dead by Daylight is if, and honestly video games in general, if the power is super oppressive, it needs to be really mechanically intensive to use, right? Like really mechanically intensive. Because at least if it's a P18,000 prestige-ish blight with 40,000 hours in Dead by Daylight, who's executing the momentum cock and ball tech, where he flicks his mouse across the zip code from his apartment to his school, and then on the toilet, he jacks his router so his fucking cane reaches around the corner, and then he can bounce on the cane and jump out of the window and then do an M1. Like, okay, sure. Okay, buddy, you get the hit. You're really good at the game. But Kaneki, past that little hurdle, kind of feels nurse-like, but like much less skill-intensive, right? It's really I don't remember if I wrote it into my script in the deep dive whether or not he feels like a nurse almost in a way. But he feels like an easy nurse because you still have regular M1 gameplay, and then you have this really oppressive chase power. And I almost want them, right, to lean into maybe an M2 only playstyle like nurse, which is a crazy thing to say, but I don't know how to fix him to make him more fun. I just really don't. Because it is such an oppressive ability, but that is so precariously balanced. I don't know how to adjust him, which, oh god, it infuriates me because they've painted themselves into the design corner again, and it is just so frustrating. That again, it is just like, oh yeah, we're just a really strong killer, and then survivors are just like, I really want this killer to be strong and fun to play against. I just don't know how to make him more fun to play against. I just don't have a good idea, and I'm not sure I will get a good idea. It is an issue of power creep, really. Because Wesker, right now, I think could use a little bit of buffs. And I think he's more or less in a very healthy place. He's very fun to play against, I will say. Wesker, W, very fun. Kaneki, he just power creeps Wesker so hard, right? And in terms of ability, and honestly in terms of lethality as well, in terms of text, in terms of everything, he is such a complete power creep to Wesker. And then, he's not fun to play against. So, I just... See, the issue with this is releasing so much content over and over again is that what you get is power creep, and you're just left unable to balance the experience. And this is why I still have a problem with Dead by Daylight's packed release schedule. So, unfortunately, I have to be far less positive on John Tokyo Ghoul because, originally it felt very neat. It was interesting. We had a lot of fun with PvP. Now, We're actually playing them. People got good at them, and it's not fun, unfortunately, for Spyrus, and that is like a major bummer because the killer is very fun to play for a lot of people, and I can acknowledge that. It's not my, piece of cake. It's not exactly something I'm like, oh, I want to dedicate myself to this, but I see really well why people enjoy them, and I just unfortunately feel like there's going to be nothing good that will come out of the current state and design of the Ghoul. What is happening beside that? Well, they officially in the patch notes said that Oni will become able to do 180 flicks, basically, on console and PC. However, I don't think as far as I understand, he can't flick at all. Which is really, really funny. I think it's just like bugged code that they carried over from PDP or like they merged the wrong branch or something. I've never done like super crazy flex of funny, so I wouldn't be able to test it very well. So I haven't, but it is just a complete wonder that behavior managed to put in the patch notes that only can flick now and he can't. It is like just absolutely wonderful. Xenomorph has gotten reverted completely, almost, but she now has like a slightly longer charge time for her tail, and she has a smaller cooldown on tail attacks, successful or missed, and then the instinct range for Killer Instinct is 60 meters instead of 12, and also it's slightly harder, 25%, to be burned out of crawl mode, but then emergency helmet got nerfed appropriately. Besides that, not many things kind of have changed from the PTB, right? All things happened, but we did get a big announcement on a live stream for a lot of stuff upcoming. So first up, I want to talk about the new challenge system they're teasing. And I've seen a lot of people talk about how sad and generic and pathetic it is. And I'm inclined to agree. But from what they showcased is just we essentially are losing the select challenge, do that challenge, because you'll just be able to do all of them all at once and be going for multiple challenges, and it's no longer a frustration. Oh, did I select the challenge, or did the game bug out and not actually select the challenge when it said select the challenge? Instead of a challenge, it's going to be this more streamlined thing. Is it sad that Dead by Daylight is losing more and more of its identity? Yes, very sad. But I guess I'll live with it because it is much better gameplay, and hopefully will encourage people to throw less. But I didn't get the specifics of how this would function, because we know some challenges like work very, very differently, because they force you into a certain loadout, or they give you random perks, or etc., etc. I'm not sure how this will all coexist with archives, and maybe it's just because I haven't watched the live stream enough. I've just kind of peeped the sneak peek at everything announced and everything dropped. Why? Because I'm really, really busy right now. I'm recording this podcast, I'm filming the footage together, and I'm going to immediately go to bed, unfortunately. But it is a step mostly in the positive direction, but we will have to wait and see the actual implementation. Besides that, if you remember an AMA from, I believe, almost a year ago, in fact, let me go right to my channel and check when this AMA was. That AMA was 8 months ago. 8 months ago, B3R announced that they were looking for ways to make repairing generators more interesting, and you should see that in upcoming events. Well, we are now going to see that. The Blood Moon event will have special Blood Moon generators, and essentially, if you ever heard the the parts idea for generators, that is kind of essentially that. So 5 out of 7 generators in the trial will become blood generators that can only be repaired by going into blood basins and picking up like blood from them and pouring the blood into the generators. Essentially, it is just the generator part idea, but instead of like speeding up your repairs or whatever, it just is the way you repair them. Survivors and killers will have to engage with the blood generators, and blood generators cannot be interacted with by perks. And that is very, very interesting, right? That is very interesting. So, essentially, this is behavior's attempt at what if we made gen regression or gen speed up not a thing, mostly. What if we relegated that to just 2 gens out of the required 5 and the total of 7 that you can repair? What would happen? This is exclusive to the Blood Moon game mode, obviously, and that is going to come out, I think, in about a week or something. But this is very, very interesting, right? Because I think the largest complaint about the Safari gameplay loop is just like it's boring for a lot of people. And I understand why. There is so much waiting around on things to happen. The fact you'll now be forced kind of to traverse the map, get things, then go back, is essentially it creates slowdown, but also creates more engaging gameplay. It's a win-win-win-win-win. Is this ready for prime time? Definitely not. I'm sure on the event, as it will unfold, thousands of horrible things will happen, thousands of issues, thousands of bugs, everything and anything will occur, and everything will be horrible. However, it is very, very extremely admirable that BHVR is exploring more and more and more avenues to make the gameplay more engaging. We are severely lacking on engaging gameplay right now in Dead by Daylight, and having alternative game mode that isn't something like 2v8 that drops survivors of agency, but potentially a game mode that will give survivors more agency, more shit to do, I think is really, really cool. And I wholly encourage the continuation of the generator experiments, right? It is absolutely fantastic that we are seeing such lovely, lovely changes to the game, or not changes, but additions. I imagine that this will inform changes to the base game at some point. I imagine that will inform changes to 2v8. It's a next iteration, because Survivor in 2v8 is just so bloody goddamn miserable. It is just so bad. Another thing that I want to kind of complain about is that the pickup speed buff for killers got capped at 42%. And they said it was done to prevent breaking certain killer survivor interactions. What if they just fixed the fucking interactions? I want my speed from Fire Up and the new perk, whatever it is, to stack. Fuck, I forgot what is the new perk. It was Forever Entwined. It was Forever Entwined. Yeah, I want those to stack, because Forever Entwined is like 32% max, and the Fire Up is 30 max, and the fact that I don't get my fucking 62% pickup speed bonus anymore is fucking. I am mad. I am upsetty all over my spaghetti, and I think that is like sad and pathetic that such a funny and cute perk interaction gets fucking nerfed because their spaghetti code is too bad. Like, that is, come on. Let's be a little serious now. Let's be a little serious now, right? Just like a little serious. It is very sad. But overall, this release for DBD has not been too terrible. But now that we are into DBD's Operation Health, as it has released its third patch, essentially, of the health system, or you get what I mean. The first update of the thing. What are we feeling? How are our thoughts in? Well, if you remember, I don't think I'll upload those episodes to Spotify, so you'll just have to go on my YouTube at maybe Kizu or at maybe Kizuari. So, if you remember in episode 5 of the first season, I essentially was talking about how, yeah, so the problem is that DBD has so much content that they keep releasing, and it doesn't bring in a fuck ton of players, and it is just a burden. It is an absolute burden because you can't just shove content into the game forever. And they seem to be operating on the thought that, oh, we can't just shove people into the game forever, and that will work for some reason. I don't know. I don't feel like it will work if you just ask me. Don't know about that. Don't know about that one, Chief. I don't think it's gonna be so hard. But if we assume that the content oversaturation issue and the quality of future content is kind of like a backseat, how's Operation Hell feeling? Well, so far on the bug fixes front, kind of sad, like because there's been not a great amount on the bug fixes lately, you know. Stuff like, you know, the fucking speed cap on picking up it, man. I just really feel like it is sad that we don't see more bug fixes to the game or refactors to base code base. And I think that is a major issue. The rate at which we are getting updates is not slowing down. And I don't mean that as a good thing. I mean that as a bad thing. So we're still getting so many chapters just so quickly, even with the operational health delay. But at least we are prioritizing that over something like My Little Oni 2 or something, which is, you know, I think that's good. I think that is a good decision. The current so far implemented features have not been, you know, very big. The surrender option, I think, is like underbaked. It needs more work. It's very bare bones. And besides that, we've kind of just not had a lot of changes come into the game, right? So we had some perk adjustments. We have a new map for Ear of Crows. We have the variant removal. That's kind of all not part of the operational thing, right? So we got a little bit of changes, and we got a little bit of additions, and we got one new system that is kind of very underbaked and just feels like a very bare bones implementation, right? So far, I am feeling very underwhelmed, right? I want them to roll out more stuff more quickly, but less content. I don't want content. You know what I want? I want less content. I want more balance changes. I want more game health. And they are not going to be doing that. And nothing I can say will change that, which is sad. But what we have right now is just not enough, right? What we have right now is not enough, and we will need a lot more to come. The PTB for the next chapter, which will be, I think, just a survivor half chapter or paragraph or whatever, will come out on April 15th. And hopefully that brings more to the table in terms of balance adjustments, bug fixes, and etc. So far, just very, 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 very underwhelmed. You know, very underwhelmed, and just I feel a little empty, right? Because I was I was very excited on the PvP that it felt like the killer and the survivor were not the killer and the survivor. The killer and the survivor experiences were both fun. Unfortunately, the survivor experience proved to be not fun. And I liked a lot of the changes that they brought in the PvP. And just all the things that got me to say, hey, I think with a little bit of changes this will be really good, got like no changes. And the things that I were hoping would get changes in the way I was hoping can get changes got like either no changes or changes that I didn't like. So the Xenomorph, I'm very unhappy with the direction they went for the Xenomorph. I'm happy about the scratch marks. I feel unhappy that the surrender mechanic got left the way it was. I feel unhappy that hinder knockout got left the way it was. It does feel bad. It does feel very bad. So I guess there's just not a lot of exciting stuff for me, right? Usually I'd like to come in and talk about things that are very exciting and kind of just chat about it, right? Because I like checking a lot of bounds. But essentially everything is kind of like how I expected, except Ghoul, who's much stronger than I thought, than I gave him credit, and much less fun to play against than I thought. So I'm coming in and I'm just, what do I say, right? What do I say that is positive about this game right now? And I guess I can't really say a lot of things that are positive, and I'll just have to, essentially in a long-winded way, say I am underwhelmed and I feel a little disappointed, and guess I hope to see Tokyo Ghoul nerfs. Okay. Subscribe to me on Spotify, subscribe to me on YouTube, wherever you're coming right now. If you're at this point still listening, subscribe to my channels. This is a very laid-back podcast stuff. Unfortunately, we didn't have a lot to talk about, so it's kind of a filler episode, for an opening of a new season. However, consider this simple fact. Soon, we'll get a new chapter. Soon, there's going to be an event. Soon, there's going to be so much stuff coming to Dead by Daylight that I'll essentially have things to talk about for hours, and I'll still be condensing it to an hour-long format at most. Which means there's a lot more exciting stuff to come. This is kind of just a chill and vibing section. But soon, we'll have a lot of things to chat about. So, if you enjoyed this podcast at all, follow me, click the subscribe button, whatever buttons you can find that you think might positively influence my metrics, I dare you to click on them. Because there's so much more good shit coming, and I'll see y'all in the next episode.